Welcome back to Coin's Numismatic series, where every coin tells a story, and every story brings us closer to understanding the hidden treasures tucked away in pockets, drawers, and old jars across the world. Today, we're diving into a coin that seems so ordinary at first glance that most people wouldn't give it a second thought, but as collectors, we know better. For the next several minutes, we're going deep into the fascinating world of the 1982 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, specifically in fine condition. Let's kick things off with a burst of excitement. Imagine this, you're sorting through an old jar of pennies, not expecting much, just a bunch of copper-colored change that's been lying around for years. Then, you come across a penny dated 1982. You glance at it and notice it has no mint mark. Your heart jumps. Could this be one of those pennies? The kind that marks a turning point in American coinage. A coin created during a year of transition, carrying with it a story of rising metal prices, production changes, and an unexpected series of variations that would send collectors on decades-long hunts. Yes, this little 1-cent coin might look ordinary, but it's part of one of the most complex and talked about penny years in U.S. history. And today, we're going to unravel all of it. To understand why the 1982 penny is so important, we need to travel back in time. The Lincoln cent had already been circulating for over 70 years by the time 1982 rolled around. Designed by Victor David Brenner and first released in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, the coin instantly became iconic. Brenner's portrait of Lincoln, facing right, unusual for U.S. portrait coins at the time, set the standard for what would become one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. That same portrait still appears on our pennies today, but in the early 80s something big was happening behind the scenes. The price of copper was rising. In fact, the cost of the metal inside each penny was getting dangerously close to the coin's face value. At times, the melt value of the copper even exceeded 1 cent. That posed a major problem for the U.S. Mint. They needed a cheaper solution, and they needed it fast. And so, 1982 became the year of transition, a year when the mint changed the very composition of the penny for the first time in decades. Prior to this shift, pennies were made of 95% copper, giving them a distinct weight and feel, solid, dense, and unmistakably metallic. But starting mid-year in 1982, the mint switched to a new composition, a zinc core with a thin copper plating, drastically reducing production costs while maintaining the familiar copper appearance. This is where the story gets interesting. Instead of stopping production entirely and retooling everything at once, the mint ended up producing both copper and zinc pennies throughout the year. Combine that with the change in design style, large date versus small date varieties. And suddenly 1982 became one of the most complicated years for the Lincoln cent. In total, there are 7 major varieties from this single year. But today, our focus is on one specific type, the 1982 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, in fine condition. Now, what does it mean when a coin has no mint mark? For anyone new to collecting, a mint mark is a small letter stamped onto the coin to indicate which U.S. mint facility produced it. A D stands for Denver, an S for San Francisco, and a coin with no mint mark at all typically comes from the Philadelphia Mint. Prior to 1980, Philadelphia didn't use a mint mark on pennies, and after 1980, they still produced most coins without one. So when you see a 1982 penny without a mint mark, you're looking at a Philadelphia-struck cent. But here's where things get even more fun. Philadelphia produced both copper and zinc pennies that year, and both exist in large date and small date variations. If you're holding a 1982 no mint mark penny, it could be one of multiple types. But today, we are focusing on the general characteristics of the 1982 Philadelphia issue in fine condition, and the features you can examine to better understand your coin. Let's talk design. The obverse displays Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, his gaze steady and thoughtful, facing to the right. Above him is the inscription, "In God We Trust," running along the top edge of the coin. To the left of Lincoln appears the word "Liberty," printed cleanly and spaced evenly. To his right, slightly below, sits the date, 1982. If the coin has no mint mark beneath the date, that confirms its origin, the Philadelphia Mint. Flip the coin over and you'll find the reverse design that had been used since 1959, created by engraver Frank Gasparo to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. It features the Lincoln Memorial, shown in striking symmetry, each column and line carefully engraved to capture its architectural presence. Above it reads, "United States of America," and directly beneath that, the national motto, "E Pluribus Unum." At the bottom sits the denomination, 1 cent, bold and centered. Now, when we talk about fine condition, or F, on the grading scale, we're referring to a coin that shows moderate wear from circulation but still retains clear details. On the obverse, Lincoln's hair and beard will show some smoothing, and light wear will appear on his cheek and jaw. The lettering should remain readable with no merging. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial will show noticeable wear, especially on the steps and central details. The overall appearance is still respectable, the coin is not damaged but clearly shows circulation use. Collectors love the 1982 series because of the unusual overlap in compositions and design features. A 1982 no-mint mark penny can be either copper or zinc. Copper pennies from that year weigh 3.11 grams, while zinc pennies weigh only 2.5 grams. This weight difference is the easiest way to determine the composition without damaging the coin. Even in fine condition, copper pennies tend to hold slightly more collector interest than zinc versions simply because copper pennies were part of the earlier, heavier style collectors often prefer. Mintage figure estimates indicate Philadelphia produced over 10 billion pennies in 1982, including all varieties combined. That enormous number means most circulated 1982 no-mint mark pennies are extremely common. In fine condition, they are typically worth only face value, 1 cent, unless they fall into a specific variety category such as small date copper or error types. The more valuable pieces from 1982 are those with unique die characteristics or rare transitional errors. Speaking of errors, 1982 is one of the most exciting years for error hunters. Because the mint was juggling so many composition changes and die variations, mistakes happened. Collectors have found die cracks, off-center strikes, double-struck coins, and even transitional errors where a penny was struck with the wrong metal planchet. These errors can lift the value from just pennies to hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on rarity and condition. Although a fine-grade coin doesn't hold the same premium as mint state examples, certain errors still carry strong collecting interest regardless of wear. One of the best-known 1982 anomalies is the 1982 D small date copper penny, a major rarity worth significant money. While that version doesn't apply to our no-mint mark Philadelphia coin, it highlights the kind of scrutiny collectors give to all 1982 pennies. For a no-mint mark penny, discovering a small date copper variety in exceptional condition can also increase value beyond the typical range, though still not approaching the Denver rarity. In fine condition, a 1982 Philadelphia penny without a mint mark usually carries minimal premium, but collectors still seek them out as part of full 1982 variety sets. Completing a full 8-coin set, including all copper and zinc, large and small dates, and both Philadelphia and Denver mint marks, is a popular goal for Lincoln cent enthusiasts. The no-mint mark coin plays a crucial role in this set, making it a staple of any serious Lincoln cent collection. Another aspect worth noting is how the 1982 penny marks the end of an era for American coinage. Many collectors see it as the last, true, copper penny year, even though the switch occurred mid-year. That historical shift adds weight and interest to the coin. When people hold a 1982 copper penny, they're holding a piece of the original copper composition that dated back to the early 1900s. For some collectors, that alone makes the coin worth keeping. Even for zinc pennies, the novelty of being part of the transition year adds a layer of collectability. Many people don't realize that modern pennies are mostly zinc. The 1982 zinc penny represents the beginning of a new generation of coins, lighter in weight and different in feel. The switch was controversial at the time. Some people argued that pennies shouldn't be made at all, while others resisted the change in metal composition. Owning a 1982 penny, whether copper or zinc, offers a direct connection to that debate. Looking at market value, fine-grade 1982 no-mint mark pennies generally fall into the 1 to 5 cent range unless special characteristics apply. Higher values come from uncirculated grades, certified small-date varieties, or error coins. But even though fine-grade examples aren't worth much in cash, their historical importance makes them excellent educational pieces for collectors building foundational sets. They also make great teaching tools for beginners wanting to learn about weight differences, die varieties, and how to grade circulated copper coins. The collector interest in 1982 pennies continues to grow thanks to the widespread attention given to error varieties, especially through online communities and coin hunting channels. Many viewers who come to channels like this one enjoy the thrill of searching pocket change for valuable coins. And the 1982 penny is one of the best examples of a coin that seems normal but has multiple hidden possibilities. It's a coin that rewards curiosity. So if you're holding a 1982 Lincoln penny without a mint mark in fine condition, take a closer look. Examine the date to determine if it's a large or small date. Weigh it to identify whether it's copper or zinc. Study the surfaces carefully for errors. Even if it turns out to be a common piece, you're holding a coin from one of the most significant transitional years in U.S. mint history. That's what makes collecting so exciting. It's never just about the monetary value, it's about the story each coin carries. The 1982 penny tells the story of inflation, economic pressures, minting innovation, and the complexity of mass-produced currency. It tells a story of craftsmanship and compromise. And, most importantly, it invites each of us to slow down, look closer, and appreciate the details hiding in plain sight. Thanks for joining me today on Coins Numismatic series. If you enjoyed diving into the history and features of the 1982 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, stay tuned for more deep dives into the coins we overlook every day, but maybe shouldn't. Until next time, keep hunting, keep collecting, and keep treasuring the small pieces of history you find along the way.